Good evening, everybody. It's Opie and Justin and Eric, and it's time for another episode of our Doc Series. Nice. That's Steelers Wheel and Stuck in the Middle with You from, well, of course, Reservoir Dogs, and that song is certainly our jumping off point because we're going to talk about a documentary called Wolfpack tonight.
That's right.
And what other documentaries are we talking about tonight? Who wants this? Eric?
I'll do it.
Yes.
We got Senna, which is about Formula One racing, which is currently on iTunes. You mentioned the Wolfpack, also on iTunes and in limited run now. Soaked and Bleached, the Nirvana movie, which is on soakedandbleachedthemovie.com. The Most Insane Amusement Park Ever, which is on dailymotion.com. Call Me Lucky, which is in theaters this week.
Whoa.
Back on board, Gregg Louganis on HBO.
Right, very good. And we got T-shirts. Justin, what are you doing?
I made T-shirts for us.
You made what, 3 T-shirts?
I have a box. I have a few left.
People are already tweeting me going, hey, I want one of those.
Yeah, well, we're gonna figure out how to sell it to people, but all the people behind the scenes, I
say we put it on my website. I'll give you a taste.
I'll take a taste.
I'll give you a little envelope.
I'll take a taste.
If we sell a few.
Now, I did the shirts.
Yes.
It's your website. Does Eric get anything, or is
he gets a taste?
No, I don't need a taste of this.
I think it's just open to me.
Believe me, I got my own stuff going on.
But I'm convinced you guys are Siamese twins that were separated, finally separated.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And you took most of the stomach.
Yeah, I did. I did. It was sort of cut at an angle.
It has nothing to do with documentaries. Nothing.
Sorry about that. I'm a little punchy because this is really late at night for me.
Now, here's the weird
thing.
Doing
morning radio,
yes. I am heavier than Eric, but somehow we wear the same size shirt now.
No, I wear a large.
Oh, no, forget it. We're
And then Eric brought the beer.
I did. I brought beer.
Eric brought
another, well, I was going to say a tradition, but it's only our second show, but we grab a few beers for the show as well.
Yeah, which makes my drive home very interesting.
Yeah, you gave me the ballast point. Is that how you say it? Ballast?
Ballast, I think.
B-A-L-L, that's ball to me. A-S-T, Ballast Point Brewing Company. I got a lot of respect for this beer when I tweeted last weekend from the beach. And it's a grapefruit sculpin. And I'll have you know, it's 7% alcohol, all right?
What does sculpin mean?
I'm drinking with the big boys.
Do we know what sculpin means?
I don't know. I don't know anything about this beer shit. I just know what I like. It's an Indian pale ale with natural grapefruit flavors. It's a bit tart. Mm-hmm. What other beers we got tonight?
We got Two Roads, Road to Ruin.
Yeah.
We got.
I'm drinking that same one. We have the illusion, the
Optical Illusion from Blue Point.
Okay. You know, maybe if we mention these beers, these beer companies will they'll wake the fuck up and send us some samples.
All I can say is that this.
I mean, that other grapefruit company, they woke the fuck up and they delivered 3 cases to my house.
Well, this is one of the most popular shows on radio, even though it's our second episode.
Really?
Yeah. The attention that we've been receiving is crazy. So these beer companies should be sending us stuff.
Okay, good.
They really should be.
It's our unofficial sponsor until they wake up.
That's right.
And we got a Facebook page now for the people?
We have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/OpieRadio Doc Series. We also have a Twitter page.
Yeah.
Twitter.com OpieRadio Docs.
Okay, good. Jordan's on the phone, and we got to go right to the phone today because Jordan's in Chicago.
Yep.
And he was the one that turned me on to Wolfpack. He's absolutely right. It says, I told Opie to watch Wolfpack on his Facebook page. I'm Opie Radio Fans on Facebook. That means if you hate me, you don't go there, stupid. It says it in the title. Opie Radio Fans.
Yeah.
Wake the fuck up.
Please.
He writes, so I'd like to talk to you guys about the film. So let's start with Jordan in Chicago. What's up, Jordan?
Opie, what's going on?
I'm hanging. I'm a little punchy, a little tired. But I like...
I'm a little nerve-wracked.
Why?
Why?
I always wanted to call you guys, and I'm always up with my daughter in the morning, so... Now that you finally have an evening show, I'm able to do it.
Yeah, this for the people just tuning in for the first time, we're going to do this every, 3 or 4 weeks. So, there you have it. But Jordan, you did turn me on to Wolfpack.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure you would have saw it either way, but yeah, it was a crazy movie.
What do you? Well, talk about it.
Yeah, tell us about it. What'd you like?
Yeah.
What you liked about it? Why do you think it's a crazy movie?
How'd you discover it?
Well, how about you start by trying to describe the movie, because that's even hard to do.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure. Okay, so basically, you kind of talked about it this morning. So there's this kind of asshole dad from like South America, has like 7 boys, locks them all in his apartment in Lower Manhattan, doesn't let them leave for years. They get out like once a year. And so a lot of the documentary is just about how freaking creepy and sad that is. So it's showing their lives of complete isolation packed in this like super small apartment. And then the other half is showing how their only like window to the outside world are movies. And I don't even think they had like the internet or anything like that. So they had like thousands of like VHSs and DVDs.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I don't think they had access to the internet, which makes it even creepier.
Yeah. They were scared of the outside world, I think, in every sense. Like going out, dealing with things like the internet.
Well, their father made them scared. Their father told them, if you go outside, you're like something bad can happen to you. You can die.
Well, he wasn't that wrong. I mean, they live in the projects on the Lower East Side.
Right.
I mean, the Lower East Side is definitely turning around, but that is still like some classic old school New York down there. And the mom. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I'll say really quick. I actually used to work down the street from you guys at Sam Ash. I lived in Manhattan for the past couple of years.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, but yeah, that was fun.
And I never went to Sam Ash, so I don't know what to tell you on that one. Maybe we did a gig there.
I think you did something there at one point. Anyway, yeah, I understand. Like, obviously, there's something to be scared about, but this guy was like a psycho, and they were totally into some, and so it's like very creepy and kind of uplifting at the same time. And then towards the end, they just venture out into the real world.
Right.
And then the only way they have to like, communicate with people is just pretend to be these like movie characters.
Yes.
That they spend their lives emulating.
Well, Jordan, join our Facebook page. We want people to go there and really talk about documentaries and try to turn, everyone on to those documentaries you're not really hearing about.
Yeah.
Because most documentaries definitely don't get the exposure. For whatever reason, but which I find kind of strange.
I think they're getting more popular, which is pretty cool with Netflix and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. All right. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
All right, buddy.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
6 boys between 11 and 18 in this movie.
7 kids, 6 boys, 1 daughter. They all look identical. They have like the same face.
Yeah, the daughter's a little funny.
There's something wrong with the daughter. They did not focus on her much.
No.
But they all have the same face, and the father made them all grow their hair
extremely long.
Yeah, like down to their waist.
Well, even whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mom was not into what the dad was in. Doing there with their family, but she felt like she was trapped because she was from a farm,
right? And
her dream was, well, we're gonna live in New York for a little while, get our shit together, and then we're gonna move out to a farm, and these kids are gonna live like I did,
right?
But that wasn't the case because the father is a strange bird, an alcoholic, kept to himself, stayed in his room a lot.
I'm not really sure what his goal was.
I'm not sure. And he was a foreigner. She met him on
some kind of retreat or something.
Yeah.
He was a tour guide.
Right. And she fell in love with him. They were both like hippies. They moved to They got married. They moved to the big city, which was a big step for the both of them.
They didn't really explain why they moved to New York. I have so many questions. That's why I want to talk to the director.
Yeah, we were really trying to track the director down. But she's literally on a plane right now.
Right.
But the father told his wife and then eventually his kids that he was a god. That he was that important. Literally, he was a god. He made them terrified to go outside, that they will die. So these kids were stuck in the house. And
they would go out maybe once a year, twice a year. They even said that there was some years that they didn't go out at all.
But why would they go out that 1 or 2 times? That's another question I want to answer.
Me too. I don't know.
What was the special occasion where they finally went out for that one day a year, or those 2 days a year?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. And then they were homeschooled, so there was no reason to go out for that. The father went out to get food like once a week. Was it the father or the mother? I think it was the father. The father would go out more than the mother because the father would come home drunk.
Yeah.
And then occasionally the kids would hear the father drunk and slapping, as they said, the wife.
Right.
So these kids just retreated into movies, and they would act out.
Well, I want to stop you there. That's what I found amazing about the film, because, they retreated into movies, but they could have just been complete fucking disasters.
Right.
But they looked inside themselves and said, wow, how can we better our situation?
Right.
And then, and that's another question I want to ask. Who had the idea, like, maybe we could do something with all these movies that we get to watch?
Right.
Because that was the one thing the father was accepting of. He said he gave them as many movies as they wanted to watch.
Yep,
so they had
just hundreds
and hundreds of VHS tapes of movies.
Yep.
And then they decided, well, screw just watching the movies. Why don't we reenact the movies?
Yep. And with cardboard and paper and various other things they found around the house, they would recreate these films. So when they did Reservoir Dogs, they made these intricate guns out of cardboard where different bullet compartments would come out and the clip would slide out, and they looked real, and they got blacks. And where'd they get the black suits?
I don't know.
And they had ill-fitting suits, but they had like 5 black suits or 6 black suits and black ties.
Like they had money for certain things, which is strange.
Right.
But maybe that was a suit for some kind of ceremony or whatever,
Could have been.
or something they had to do, and they just realized, wait, we could use these as costumes.
Right.
They used a lot of cardboard to make shit out of.
And yoga mats. When they recreated The Dark Knight,
right.
They made the Batman costume out of the armor out of sliced up yoga mats.
And then all the brothers, they would take a job. Like one guy was to write up the scripts.
Yep.
And remember, they didn't have the internet, so they show in this film, just shitty TVs, by the way, as well. Them just one kid just in front of the TV, just watching the movie over and over again, stopping it and writing longhand the entire movie out, and then they would put it in script form and hand out parts to each brother to study.
Yep.
And then somebody else was working on the costumes and the props and whatnot.
Yep, it was crazy. And they just and they would dress the room as best they could, but in their 4-room apartment, they would run around and recreate all these scenes. And then they also they were recreating the end of Reservoir Dogs, the Mexican standoff, basically. It's like, don't point that gun at my dad, and then bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
So you see them on like a synthesizer trying to make the correct noise for a gun. Boom, bam, bam. And then when they find it, you see that's how they inserted it into the film.
Yeah, the detail.
Yeah.
That went into doing this.
They're very
these
creative.
reenactments.
Yeah, I originally thought that this movie was, the way it was described to me originally, it's about a bunch of kids that remake these movies line by line, scene by scene.
Yeah.
And then as I'm watching it, you realize, they have no contact with, they've not been domesticated at all. In fact, they say in the movie that if you had come 6 months earlier, we wouldn't have been interacting with you. We would have sat here quietly.
Yeah.
And to see them sort of wake up to the world, I told you this, Opie, that like I had to keep stopping the movie because it's so intense and it's so messed up that you just have to kind of take a break from it and then get back into it and then take another break because it's bizarre.
Yeah. Really, really strange. And you said before the show, I was periscoping a little bit, and some people were privy to the broadcast. Mm-hmm. And you said, I wonder if this whole thing is a fake movie.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting concept, I think.
Well, there were a few things that happened in the film. One of the kids, the kids start to act out. One kid shaves off his eyebrows one day.
Right.
And that's from dealing with his dad and being stuck inside and just everything. One kid goes outside with like a mask on, and then they think he's crazy and they put him in a mental hospital. Now
they arrest him, yeah.
They arrest him, they put him in a mental hospital, and then he is told to go see a shrink. Mm-hmm. And all the kids are. Now, we don't see that happen. We're told that happened. And then another time, because of these fake guns they made, the police raided their apartment thinking they had a real gun and that they had a gun, that they were a gunman that they were looking for. And again, that also was not done on camera.
Right.
We were told about that. And these are big events in their lives that they would talk about later. And if the camera and the director, if they were being followed for all this time, it's amazing none of those, the biggest events in the film were not captured.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I think the only reason they have footage of them outside the apartment was because they agreed to do this documentary.
Right.
And then obviously the director said, hey, now it'd be cool for you guys to, hit the streets and really explore New York. Because it was pretty obvious that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then they took the train for the first time. They went down to Coney Island. They put their tootsies in the water.
Yeah.
And they were just enjoying themselves at the beach, and it was so fucking strange because it looked like aliens, basically.
Exactly.
They were just amazed by everything around them.
Right. They used to be afraid of the train.
Yeah.
And so now they're okay to go on the train. Mm-hmm. And then they get to the beach, and they're in suits, and it is like that they've never seen anything like this.
Well, they're not just in suits. When they venture out into the real world, they are dressed like the characters from Reservoir Dogs. They're wearing their black suits, they're wearing their black ties, if they have them. Some of them had other ties. And they're wearing their sunglasses, even at night.
All matching sunglasses.
Yep. So, and also, like, when they were walking around, they went to their very first movie in a movie theater, and they were all freaked out, because I guess they saw The Fighter, because they were like, this movie's going right to David O. Russell. This movie's my money's going going right to David O. Russell. It's going right to Christian Bale. I played Christian Bale. I played Batman. So they felt a connection now with those people because they're doing their own versions of those movies.
It is kind of like Mork. It really is.
It is.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It really is. But then they're walking home from the movie theater, and one of the brothers is convinced they're being followed.
Right.
And then they're like, we're not being followed. Oh, I'm totally sure we're being followed.
Because the paranoia kicked in again.
Right.
And I would love to know what they're up to now. I know, look, part of the thing we're going to do with this doc series, we don't give a fuck about spoilers. I'm sorry. Because at this point, we just want to discuss these movies, and hopefully you saw it. But, one kid decides it's time to move out. And that was obviously set up by, I think, the director of the documentary, don't you think?
Yeah.
I think so.
And that kid's pretty talented. I mean, he's like kind of producing his own stuff. Nothing anyone has ever seen, but he seems like he's really into it and really into the art of it.
The oldest brother started at the end, ventured out, and got a job as like a PA on a film.
Right.
And so he's doing all the grunt work, but he's also making small talk with people about watching Game of Thrones. And I watched all of season 5 and all of season 6, and they're all kind of talking, and then the conversation just stopped, and you kind of saw, well, he doesn't really know how to continue talking to these people. But he was working hard. He ended up getting his own apartment, which was tiny, but for him it was fine. But they still show that window. They always show these kids looking out the window at the real world.
Right.
So he had a small apartment, but he had that window.
And it was like a window you would have if you had a life sentence.
Right.
Where you would have that exact same view.
Right.
That's right.
Every day, and that's all you get.
Yep.
I found that creepy. Right. And then the other part, like, the mom was pretty much a kept woman.
Yeah.
Because she definitely didn't agree with what the father was doing there, but it seemed like she felt trapped and like there was nothing she could really do.
Right.
And then there's a scene late in the movie. She's on the phone with her mom, and I'm thinking, all right, what's this about, And then you learn that it's the first time she's talking to her mom in 50, that's right, 50 years.
Correct.
50 years.
And why is that?
I don't know,
because the husband wouldn't let her talk to her.
Yeah, but
they suggest that. They don't ever say that, but I assumed that's what it was.
But the mother said it.
But you got to do the math. I don't think they've been together 50 years.
Oh, actually, you're right. I didn't think about that.
But they didn't explain that. I was frustrated by that. Obviously, the last 20 or so, let's call it maybe 25 years, maybe the husband had something to do with it.
Right.
But there's still a big gap.
Right.
A couple decades. Why wasn't she talking to the mom then? Because she seemed a bit strange in her own way.
And as the film was unfolding, I was wondering, like, is she enabling all this behavior? Is she part of it? Like, what is the deal? But the boys all love her.
But yeah, that's very obvious.
To her, they hate the father.
They're very protective of her.
Yeah, they stopped really acknowledging or interacting with the father as they got older, and they weren't as scared as him.
The father would come home drunk, and they would just walk him into a room and put him down.
Yeah, and they knew, okay, that's good. He's done. We don't have to worry about his ass.
But when back to what you were talking about, when the mom finally called her mother. The husband left. He didn't want to be there when she was calling her mom.
Right.
So, and then the mom implied because some stuff had gone down between the father and the grandmother, basically. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the mother's mother, didn't approve of their marriage or whatever it was, but somehow something went down that they didn't explain. The mother had a crazy front tooth.
Yeah.
And all the kids,
the boys did too.
All the kids had the same crazy front tooth.
Crazy tooth.
All of them.
They all inherited that.
They did.
But you can't help but feel a little off watching this movie.
Yeah, it creeps you out.
Yeah.
Just knowing what New York is all about and knowing that these kids just never got outside is so fucking strange. But they made the best of it, which I found pretty amazing. Yeah. Almost inspirational, dare I say that.
It kind of is.
Because they could have just gave up on their lives and said, fuck that. All right, this is what we got. What can we do with it?
Right.
And they made the most of it. Jessica in Chicago, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying I sort of thought it was fake, too. Because when he says he goes walking around town wearing a mask, he says he goes into a bank. And that just seems like that's totally impossible that anyone would let him in a bank with the mask on.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah, but at that point, they were being followed around by the documentary crew, so, Well,
and they're these isolated kids that never leave their house and no one ever sees. So how are they on, like, cops' radar for looking for guns? Like, I don't even know how the cops
it could have been, I was thinking about that, too. It could have been that a neighbor saw them through a window waving guns at each other, and they were really shooting a scene.
So.
Also, no, I think it was the sound effect of the guns.
It could have been.
I bet you it was the sound effect of the guns, and then, somebody down the hall was like, "What the fuck? They're shooting guns in this apartment." I'm telling you, you gotta check this out.
The other thing, when they went to the movie theater for the first time, and they were walking down the sidewalk in their black suits, overcoats, and sunglasses, and laughing and having fun, they were waving around. One of them was waving around his cardboard gun. So it's also possible when they ventured out, they did have one of those guns with them, and then went home. And
they certainly looked real. They had the clip, cardboard clip that went into the fake cardboard gun.
All of these kids were incredibly talented in pulling off all of this.
Details.
Yeah, details.
Yeah.
It's all crazy behavior, but it was amazing.
I know my pals over at Vice really into this documentary, so you might get more info on the documentary over there as well.
Wait, so would you guys be surprised if one of those kids killed everyone?
No, I would. I was thinking that. I was thinking that.
I was thinking that when I was seeing that.
Yeah.
I would probably. No, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't either.
I think I'm with Jessica, but they seemed okay considering.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. When that one was talking about his mom might not be able to teach them or something anymore, and he was like, "Over my dead body will my mother work in the streets."
Right.
He just seemed crazy.
Well, I mean, and I think if you shave your eyebrows, nothing good could come from that.
Right.
That has never been a positive sign.
I'm trying to think one time where it might have been positive.
When somebody wakes up one day and decides, "I'm shaving off my eyebrows," that is a call for help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Jessica.
Take it easy.
Thank you.
We have audio from the movie. I don't know if you want to listen to it.
We do. Yeah, I would love to.
We laid off the trailer because
it's the easiest way to kind of, yes.
Oh, I didn't know we had an audio clip.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got?
We have the trailer.
Okay.
Let's listen to it.
I always, metaphorically described our childhood as, him being the, landowner and us the people who work on the land. My parents didn't encourage us to communicate with society, so we were kind of shut off. Always lived in this apartment. In the summer, there was more chance of us getting out. Sometimes we go out once a year. This is like 3D, man. It's very fresh out here. And at one particular year, we never got out at all. So movies opened up another world. If I didn't have movies, life would be pretty boring. This outfit is made out of cereal boxes and yoga mats. We didn't make any friends. We were homeschooled. I did everything I could to escape my world. I kind of thought, why don't we do those films? It makes me feel like I'm living, sort of, because it's kind of magical. I remember being very scared of going out into the world.
He thinks there's somebody following us. I guarantee there's somebody following us.
My father, his system was just like a ticking bomb. What did he expect when all of us become of age? We're still gonna do things his way? I don't think our father knew we had it in us. I guess he always saw us as the little boys who couldn't. And then we transformed into the boys who can.
Whoa. Whoa.
It's Creep City.
It's creepy.
That's awesome. We got a phone call coming in. They might have did an update on these guys. Let's say hi to Gregg. Gregg in Atlanta. What's up, Gregg?
Not much, man. Just listening to this show for the first time. It's pretty cool. I usually listen to you in the morning.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
So anyway, they did an update on these guys on 60 Minutes about a month or so ago.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the documentary, but I saw the 60 Minutes thing, and those guys are getting out more. One of them is actually working for some film companies, like working as a production assistant or lighting or something. I mean, he's working his way into being filmmakers. I can imagine these guys making movies. Even the small snippet that I saw in 60 Minutes, those guys are pretty talented.
They are. And in fact, the end of the film I think the one that is a PA makes his own, basically, arty film, and he gets his parents involved and everyone involved, and they're wearing these cardboard masks, and there's like a giant owl costume.
Very avant-garde, I think, right?
But it
not that I know the definition of avant-garde, but you know it when you see it. I think that's avant-garde.
But it shows all the fucking demons in this guy's head. It shows his feeling toward the characters that he assigns to his father, his mother, the different people. It just shows everything that guy is feeling. But it also shows talent. I mean, I don't necessarily get the film he was trying to make, but there is a talent there.
Right on.
I couldn't believe it. Sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't believe they didn't somehow arrest their fuckhead daddy for abuse of some sort.
Absolutely. That's another big question. That's another bizarre.
I don't have time to go to him, but Rick in North Carolina asked, did they arrest the dad? I don't think so.
I don't believe they did.
No.
Maybe they did in the past. I don't know. I don't know what his arrest record is, but certainly not during the film.
Yeah, when they were talking to these kids, they were like, well, how's your relationship with your dad? And they were like, well, he basically just cowers off into the back bedroom now and doesn't have any authority. And, I don't know, man. The whole thing is weird, but I got to see this movie now.
It's a great movie.
It really is. And the father at the end, the father fucked up this entire family. His wife, all of these kids, and he gets drunk, and they imply physical abuse and definitely mental abuse. And then he sort of sits there, and he appears not to give that much of his time to be interviewed. The mother's always available, the kids are always there, he's in there sporadically. And then at the very end, he gives like a little speech about how, well, we learn, like we all learn lessons, and I've learned a lesson, and, let's see what happens.
Right.
But it's like, but that doesn't excuse your behavior. It was real crazy behavior.
Well, I think his fucking brain is pickled at this point, though, too.
I think he's been embarrassed on film, and he's trying to cover up his.
You think?
His
I don't think he has an awareness.
I think he does.
I think he's pretty fucked up from. Yeah, I think he's got all sorts of mental issues going on, and certainly the alcohol is not helping matters.
That's cool.
All right.
Well, cool. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, Greg. Thank you. Thanks for checking out the show. I appreciate it. A little different. It's a very different vibe. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
So that's it. Wolfpack. Where could they see that again, Eric?
They can see it on iTunes, and we've been speaking with the director, Krista Moselle, and hopefully she'll be on the morning show pretty soon.
I think she will be.
Yeah,
so
the Opie and Jimmy
we'll
show
continue this discussion. And you know what? I think if you join our Facebook page and you want to discuss the movie further, certainly there's a little community there that is slowly forming. So the Facebook page again is
Facebook.com/OpieRadio Doc Series.
Okay. I got to write that down so I could
we
say
have
that.
it. It's all good.
How many breaks do we have to take tonight? Should we take a quick break?
Take two
We
breaks.
take 2 breaks.
Huh?
We have a little more time if you want to. We want to go into something pretty quick.
Do you want to do the amusement park?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that one left me a little disappointed.
We have the trailer for that laid off, and we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, why don't we go right into it? It's a documentary called The Most Insane Amusement Park Ever.
Yep.
And I must say, I got to start writing it down, but someone turned me on to this one as well. That's what I like about this show.
Yeah.
Because we'll try to turn you guys onto some docs, and you guys, turn us on to them as well.
Yeah.
But I was on my Twitter one day, and I was up early, and someone said, you got to check out this link for The Most Insane Amusement Park Ever. And it was off Daily Motion.
Yeah.
So, do we have the trailer?
We have the trailer. Again, it was the easiest way of
Actually, it's a clip. No, it's the first.
Oh, that's right. It's the first half of the trailer.
It's the first, actually, 29 seconds of the movie.
Which means
you see like a kid in the summer covered in friction burns, and you'd just be like, oh, how was Action Park?
Accident Park. Part of the fun was actually surviving the day. Traction Park.
The slides were higher, the rides were faster.
Class Action Park.
We got a reputation as being the wildest amusement park in the world.
It's been shut for almost 20 years, and I think no amusement park has caught up to its death toll yet.
If you told somebody about this, it sounds like you're making stuff up.
And that's it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish they did more on this. It's a quick, 19-minute, is it 19 or 12?
I think it's less than that.
It's 14 minutes.
14-minute documentary about the Action Park. And it brought me back to a time before seatbelts, bike helmets, all that shit.
Right.
We have pretty much, Rogan pretty much said that, we're nerfing the entire.
Right.
We're putting Nerf.
That's right.
Nerf on everything. But there was a time, man, pretty much anything went.
Yeah. Like I was thinking about this the other day. On school buses, we didn't have seat belts.
No,
We
never.
used to just go play in the woods and unsupervised every day. You get on someone else's bus and go home, not tell anybody.
Right.
And this quick documentary brought me back to that time where pretty much anything went.
Did you ever go to Action Park?
I did not.
I did several times.
You did go?
Yep, several times, and kids always got hurt. What was the luge? Was it the luge where people got the friction burn?
It was the Alpine slide.
Oh, the Alpine slide.
Yeah.
Where you're on basically a small car.
Yes.
On a cement half tube and just shooting down.
Yeah.
And as they said in the documentary, either the brake was stuck, so you went down 2 miles an hour, or the brake was disconnected and you went full speed.
And you were gonna go over the side.
Yep.
And what's
burn
funny,
your skin.
I've done a lot of skiing. That's one of my things. I love it, even though I haven't done it in the last few years. But pretty much every mountain has an old Alpine slide that is just covered up. Whether you go there in the fall and just ride the ski lifts, or in the winter, you always see the remnants of an old Alpine.
That's really funny.
Slide, because they finally realized, wow, this is really dangerous.
Yeah. This is bad.
So they pretty much shut them all down.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was one of the rides at Action Park.
Action Park opened 1978, and it was in Vernon Township, New Jersey. And it was an independent park. And as they describe in the movie, they wanted to give an interactive feel to the customer.
In control.
You were
totally
in
control.
Right.
And unfortunately, people died there.
Right. Not many, though.
Well, but
imagine the fun.
There were 6
Imagine
deaths.
all the fun you could have, and you're going to lose a couple.
There were 6 6 deaths in 20 years isn't bad.
That's not bad.
That's not that bad.
Because you got some excitement out of that.
But you know what? One of the times I went there, I saw someone get hurt. One of my friends got hurt because they did. It was mainly a water park, so they would try to create the most insane water slides and. They show in the documentary they tried to create a full loop-de-loop, and they were paying employees $100 to test it out,
to try it out, to see if they got the loopy-loop right.
Right, and people were going through and banging their heads, and their heads were bloody from hitting the top.
But how else do you test that shit out? Nowadays they do all that shit on computers.
I know.
But there was a time you didn't have that.
There was a kid.
But what that means is somebody said, you know what would be fun? Let's do a 360 water slide, build it, and then test it. Like they did everything the wrong order.
They didn't do the math. They didn't try to figure it out.
But I bet you they were looking at their Hot Wheels track one day and said, hey, man, it works in my living room. This Hot Wheel, I could get a loopy-loop going. Why don't we do one for human beings? Right?
Yeah. But what bothers me about this documentary is, so the premise pretty much is that this park hurt people, that some people got killed, and was crazy. And they interview all these people, and they all told stories. And they're all like, oh, yeah, it was called Death Park and this and that. And one of the guys that they interviewed was the owner of Action Park, his son. Now, clearly, he was being interviewed, or he agreed to be interviewed, because he has now reopened it under like a new name. So he's given like a positive spin on this whole thing.
And he's also trying to tell everyone that, look, Action Park is back. But it's not.
It's not.
It's extremely safe now. But he's trying to say, no, we still kind of have that, that edge to us, but not really.
We're all safe.
No, because now, the authorities and everybody else has marched in and said, look, you got to do this shit properly now.
But it's a 12 or 14-minute documentary because the stories are interesting, but it's very uneven because the footage does not support any of the stories. And all the talking heads that are there, they're talking about how bad it is. At the very end, they say, if it was open today, I'd go back. Which contradicts everything that they had been talking about for 14 minutes.
This guy wants in so bad. Joe in Jersey. Go ahead, Joe.
Opie!
What's up, Joe?
All right, so I went to Action Park, I forget how long ago it was. But it was fun as hell. It's like everything you go on is fucking dangerous as shit.
It was.
So I go on this fucking slide, and they say it has a 15-foot drop when you go off of it.
Yeah.
I go off this thing, and you're supposed to keep your weight back, I guess.
Yeah.
I went forward and belly flopped from 15 feet in the air. I chipped my tooth. I swear to God, my balls got pushed in my throat. It was crazy. The craziest part was I'm trying to swim with one arm. I'm like limping in the water. And the lifeguard goes, you okay? And I couldn't even talk. And he saw me like limping over. So he's like, fuck it,
Yeah.
He didn't want to jump in the water. But that place is crazy.
What were the staffers like there? How old were they, first of all? Do you remember?
With the staff?
Well, it sounds
Yeah.
like he went recently. How old are you?
No, I mean like back in the day.
Well, I'm 25.
Yeah, so
I would say like 3 years ago, maybe. I think.
Oh, so you're here. So you're here to say that it's absolutely still dangerous. All right, so I'm wrong about that. I thought they cleaned it up a bit.
Everything you get on, you feel like you can die. I got on this one. It's like this, you go down the slide. And you think, all right, it's a water park slide. It's a tube, so you're totally enclosed. It's a black slide. You go down this thing, you start going so fast. You're trying to put your arms and legs out to stop yourself, and you can't slow down. And you're going so fast. Next thing you know, you don't know which way you're facing. You just see the light and you shoot out into this pool of water.
That's amazing.
It's hilarious.
We might have to do a little field trip.
Yeah.
To Action Park.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, Joe.
So I just want to put my 2 cents in on that. It's nuts.
All right, yeah. Check out the little documentary on it. It's on Daily Motion.
It's so short.
Right, cool,
it's
man.
really quick.
Yeah.
You could do it while you're taking a dump. It's real easy.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
All right,
That's the
sweet, man.
selling
Thanks a lot,
point.
buddy.
All right, this guy is claiming he worked there in 1981. Come on, Kyle in Austin. Please be true. You worked there?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. What could you give us on this?
I'm from Warwick, New York originally. I live in Texas now, but so I worked in like the sales department. So they'd come in and they'd buy tickets and stuff. But people would get really messed up, especially on the Alpine side. You're totally right. They would get like rug burns, and they would be bleeding. It was a crazy place, and I never saw anybody die or actually even heard of anybody dying, but people broke bones like all the time. And it was called Traction Park. That was like our
Traction Park
nickname for it. Yeah, Traction Park, because people would be taken out of there all the time with head injuries, broken bones, and one guy broke his femur, and it was like screaming.
How old were you when you worked there?
I was like 16 years old.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. The kids that worked, they were kids that worked there and that were responsible for your safety.
And did they give you did they give you any training at all?
No. I mean, I was like one of the higher paid people because I was like on the sales side to try to schlep tickets. But I mean, like my buddies that were sophomore, junior in high school would be, operating the rides, and people were crazy. And they'd be drinking and stuff. People from the city would have a half a load on, and they'd go crazy. Yeah, it was a nutty place.
Did the staff drink or just the people working there drink? I'm sorry, the people visiting their drink.
Just the people visiting.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I could go there for free all the time, and I just never had a lot of interest because I would see everybody get really hurt pretty badly. So yeah, it was real. But
nice.
They also had like these bumper boats that had like engines in them. You can go crazy, like smashing into people and stuff, and then people would fall into the little pond that they had these bumper boats on. Yeah, it was totally a nutty situation.
And at some point, for a while, I think it said in the documentary that they had no insurance. Do you know anything about that?
Or he had his own insurance. He set up his own insurance.
Well, what happened was they were trying to shut him down. They took his insurance away, and then he found a workaround. I think he went to
the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, the Cayman Islands to get insurance. They'll do anything for you in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that, but the guy, his name was Mulvihill or something. I think Andy,
right,
was the dude that I remember, and and they, it was just it was crazy
because they were trying to figure out how to shut the place down. And then I guess when they didn't have any insurance, that they thought that would be the end of it. And then this guy's like, "Fuck that! I'm going to get new insurance," and he went to the Cayman Islands. So. Thank you, Kyle. I got to let a couple guys on because now they're coming out of the woodwork. They used to work there.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right, thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. All right. And the wave pool we got to talk about, too.
Yeah, right. The wave pool, that's right. That was a big thing in the documentary.
The wave pool, it's waves bigger and longer than they should have been.
Right.
They just said, fuck it, let's make these waves crazy.
On the first day.
On the first day, they pulled 100 people out. 100. From a wave pool.
You would think, like, on the first day, it would have been lame, and then they would have made it bigger as they went along.
Right. They said, fuck that.
They cranked that fucker up on the first day.
1982, a man drowned in the wave pool. And a week later, someone got out of a canoe ride and was electrocuted by a loose wire. Yeah. Jeez. It's unbelievable.
I shouldn't laugh. I mean, these are people's tragedies, but it's crazy.
Yeah, but look at the phone calls. They're so excited to talk about this place. They loved it. Let's go to Mike in Atlanta. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, I'm 40 years old, so I was like a, 12, 13-year-old kid in the 80s, grew up at Jersey Shore. And, you know, the choice was to go to either Great Adventure or Action Park. And Action Park, that is crazy commercials where you see, like, this crazy shit, like the Alpine slide.
Right.
Driving your own race car. That's something that
That's
I don't know
right.
if they talk about in the documentary. Like, wasn't on some fucking track or something like at Disney World. Like, you got your own race car. And you have to have, like, a driver's license or whatever. But the craziest thing was this cliff diving, which I don't think they sanction at any sort of water park these days at all. But it seemed to be like this, I don't know, 20-foot giant cliff that you just jumped off of. And, you know, the guy, the staffer who worked there was just like, all right, go. Like, there was nothing for him to do other than just say, yeah, all right, go.
Right.
To the pool. Absolutely terrifying. But, yeah, it was the coolest freaking park that ever was, and there will never be anything like it.
Yeah, I can't give this documentary great remarks because it was only like 12 or 13 minutes, and it really frustrated me because they didn't have a lot of old footage and stuff.
No.
But it certainly brought back some memories of hearing the stories.
I wish the footage matched what they were saying. And then again, at the end, when they all said if it was still open, I would go back now.
Right.
It's like, well, then you contradicted everything said in the film.
No, but I think it's more about the feeling that's created when you go there, that kids could just go there and there were no rules at all. And you could drive a car and, you know, you could row a boat and do all that crap.
And do the loopy-loop and hope that you were going to be okay on the other side of that.
You'd be alive.
Yes. We got a lifeguard from back in the day. Mike in Jersey. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, man, Action Park. I hear you guys talking about this. I was a lifeguard there. I'm 33 years old. I was a lifeguard there for the last couple of years it was open, and then when it transferred to a new place. And let me tell you, probably the reason why people got hurt a lot is because every lifeguard was either drunk or hungover from the night before. We drank every day in the summer, and with all the money we would find in the rides, we would use that to buy alcohol every night.
Wow.
And we would drink all night long, and then around 2 o'clock in the morning, we would stumble into the park when it was closed, turn the rides on, and have our own little fun in the water park at night.
That's awesome.
It was insane.
Where would you find... go ahead.
I worked there from like 16 until I was like 20, and when I turned 20 and got a new job, all of a sudden I realized I had to actually do work. When I went to work, it was a horrible experience in my life.
Yeah. Where would you find all the money? Which ride gave you the most money from the bathing suits?
The cliff jump was big, and they had like 100-foot like speed slide tower, and where the water went at the end of the slide under the deck, you go down there, and there was all the crates where it would go into the pumps. You'd find hundreds of dollars in there.
Wow.
We had three Indian guys one day came up and told us they lost $1,300 in the wave pool. They got about 100 back, and we found the other 1,200.
That's
and
great.
All that to drink for like 2 days.
Why did they bring $1,300 into a wave pool?
I don't know. I wasn't going to ask that question because we found 1,200 of it.
Yeah, you're smart. That's fine.
You. All right, Mike. Thank you, buddy.
No problem, man.
I didn't expect us to talk about this this long, but I think we got to keep going on this.
We have to break soon. So
I know. Let's go to Russ in Vermont. Russ.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hey.
We used to go to Action Park after work, and we were up by the Alpine slide one day, and this girl was in a bikini. She came out of the cart, and all you could hear was a screeching of her back going down the fiberglass track.
Oh.
And we saw her like an hour or two later, her back was all burned up.
Oh.
All blistered up and shit, right?
Yeah, it was brutal, man.
Nice.
But we used to go up there, race the go-karts, crashing each other.
Yeah.
Do the water slides and stuff. It was a blast.
Right on, brother. Thank you.
And we survived.
Yeah,
you live to tell the tale.
And you know we have an update on Action Park. I do know this. Let Mike say it. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, it's Mike in Jersey.
What's up, Mike?
Hey, listen. Yesterday or the day before, it happened Monday. My news feeds blew up with there was a chlorine tank explosion up there. It affected a bunch of the employees. I think like 15 people were taken to the hospital and treated for respiratory burns and skin burns.
Yeah,
there it is.
This just happened. Yeah, it was a chlorine explosion up there.
Yeah, I believe it was Monday. But
wow.
yeah, I remember going there as a kid back in the early 80s and, with my older cousins or whatever, and they were, doing the cliff diving and all this, and I'm saying, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the article mentions that the park was expected to reopen at its regular time the next day.
Yeah. One of the other things I remember going when I was a kid, also in the wave pool, I really do remember this. You'd see water snakes because this was like up in the woods. I mean, they cleared this out to make this.
Right.
This was up to the, it was pretty crazy. But,
Wait, you said there were water snakes in the wave pool?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because, I mean, that water park was pretty much built around that natural, whatever you want to call the mountains in the woods and
right.
streams and the pond, the natural vernal ponds.
Oh my God!
There was wildlife running through there.
Amazing.
Did anyone get bitten by a snake?
Oh, that I don't know. I mean, I was young. I just remember being young, going there with my older cousins and aunts and uncles, and that was
that's pretty funny.
Right on.
Big summer day back in the early '80s.
Nice work, man.
All right. Thank you, Mikey. We're heading toward a break, so I got to cut you short.
All right, great show, guys.
All right. Hey, thanks. Gene in Chicago. I love this new show. Thank you. It's only our second one. I'd like to talk about a documentary called Perfume Nightmare, made from a Thai guy in France about technology destroying our lives. Gene, if you could hold on, what we're going to do is open up the phones probably at the end of the show, the last 15 or 20 minutes, and really just go nuts and just get your recommendations for documentaries to check out, okay? Or maybe we could try to get him on the show right after the break quickly.
That's fine. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Gene, stick through the break and we'll go to your phone call. And then when we get back, we're going to talk about Senna, about this Formula One driver.
Yep.
I fucking hate Formula One racing. I have to say that. But I really enjoyed the documentary.
Me too.
It was great.
Me too.
And what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Soaked in Bleach.
Call Me Lucky.
Call Me Lucky, and hopefully back on board the Gregg Louganis.
Depending on time, I really want to get to Call Me Lucky. There's a lot to talk about there.
All right, so we'll do...
I have a funny story about that, too.
Yeah, Eric does have a funny story about that.
Child molestation?
About that film, yes.
No.
Not a personal molestation story, but, we'll talk about it when we get back.
Yeah.
Have a funny story.
All right, and if you want to join our Facebook page, OpieRadio Doc Series, and we just started a Twitter account, which is...
OpieRadio Docs.
Docs? We couldn't get Doc Series on the Twitter to match it
long.
up?
It's too long.
OpieRadio Docs.
Okay, it's fine. So join our Facebook page and our Twitter account, and we'll continue talking about documentaries in a moment or two. I can't drive 55. We're going to talk about Senna, documentary about Formula One racing in a minute or two. But I promised I would go to the phones and talk to Gene really fast. Let's say hi to Gene in Chicago. What's up with Chicago on this Doc Series show? Getting a lot of phone calls from Chicago. Hey, Gene.
Well, I'm a big fan of Opie Radio.
Ooh, thank you, sir.
Okay.
I hope you're a fan of the whole channel because we're really trying to do some things over here finally.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I always have.
Thanks,
but
Gene.
Your show's always been my favorite, and I really like this Doc show.
Oh, thank you.
There's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. When I was in college in the late 90s, I went back to college a little bit later in life. I took a world cinema class, and we saw this documentary called Perfume Nightmare. It was made by a Filipino or a Thai guy.
Okay.
He was in France, about those people who are the French pickers. They have a special name. They made some deal with Napoleon. And it was about how, they still exist today and how technology and stuff is really ruining our lives. It's a fabulous documentary, and you will love it.
What year did it come out?
I think it's mid-'80s, I think.
Well, that's why I'm asking. How crazy is that? They said in the mid-'80s or late '80s that technology was ruining our lives.
Actually, it was 77.
77, they were already saying. So what kind of technology did we have back then?
Just... It was about greed and everything else, and how these pickers couldn't do their thing anymore because people were recycling things, and just all. It's very interesting. It's been years since I've seen it,
and it's called.
I think it's even Perfume Nightmare.
Perfume Nightmare. Join our Facebook page, OpieRadio Doc Series, and maybe start talking about Perfume Nightmare and see if other people have seen it.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is: are you familiar with the documentaries of Frederick Wiseman?
No, I don't know shit about documentaries, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, Frederick...
I'm starting from pretty much zero.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, I'm going to fucking educate myself, and eventually this show is going to be on the road in front of a big screen, and we're going to have a big showing of a documentary, and we're going to have a Q&A and everything.
In a year or two?
I promise you that.
We're going to be at Lincoln Center.
I really don't know much about the process of I just like watching, documentaries.
Okay.
So.
Well, the thing I saw it when I was in school. It's called Titicut Follies.
What's it called?
Titicut, Titicut Follies.
Okay.
And he filmed it in a mental hospital near Boston.
Ooh.
Okay.
And it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, 1967.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's almost impossible to see because you have to get it from the film company and exhibit it because they lost a court case that they were invading these people's privacies.
Right.
Wow.
But it's like that force feeding them, and it's a real horror show. But he's made several documentaries, and the reason I love him so much is he doesn't judge. He just sets up a camera, and if you ever get a chance, you've got to see the one called High School.
Okay. Put all these on our Facebook page so I can keep track of this shit.
Not a problem.
All right.
Okay?
All right,
I'm a
Gene.
huge fan. If you make it in Chicago, let me know. Okay?
We were there a couple years ago. I'll go back. What the hell? Thanks,
All right.
Gene.
No problem. Have a good evening.
Oh, yeah, you too.
Bye.
All right.
Pretty good.
That's at the end of the show. We're going to just open up the phones and just hit us with a million fucking documentaries. My wife was talking about a documentary. She hasn't seen it yet, but I think her mom turned her on to it. It's called Toe Tag Parole. That she says is a must-see, and that's on HBO. So I guarantee that's going to be the first one I watch for the next...
HBO Doc, Toe Tag Parole.
That's going to be the first one I watch for the next episode of the OpieRadio Doc Series.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Basically, guys that, have life in prison, and that's why they call it, toe tag parole, because that's the only way they're getting out, when they get that fucking toe tag. And they really have changed their lives and really look into themselves because they have absolutely nothing else or nothing to look forward to. I can't wait to see it.
Me too. Looks good.
That guy's full of shit.
Who?
Which guy?
Dr. Steve, you're listening right now? What the hell?
Absolutely, of course.
Thank you, pal. You're calling tomorrow, by the way, to tell us your virginity story. I didn't forget.
No, my wife told me I'm not allowed to tell that story.
Oh, get the...
You almost told it this morning.
No, tell her to relax.
Oh, shit, I didn't know she was listening.
Tell her to relax, and you're telling that story tomorrow.
Okay.
But anyway, what do you got for tonight?
Well, hey, that Titicut Follies movie, you can buy it now, and I have a copy, and I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Oh, please do.
Great.
Is it amazing?
You have to watch this thing. It will fuck you up.
Really?
I lived part of that. Come on.
No, dude. Okay.
It's a talent show in an insane asylum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But it's more than an insane asylum. It's a word for the criminally insane.
Oh, that's my dream come true. I would love to film that.
Okay,
I'm not even joking. I would love to film that. Get a whole bunch of crazy people together and film some kind of talent show.
No, I love the crazy.
Please send that to me, Dr. Steve.
Let's do it on the morning show.
Let's do it.
Is it sad?
I'll get it out to you in the morning.
Okay.
Wait, is it sad? Is it disturbing? Is it funny? Really disturbing.
No, it's disturbing. Well, and I mean, it's funny if you've got a sick sense of humor.
Right.
Well, we got that, don't we, Dr. Steve? All right, cool. Please send that to me, because now we might have 2 documentaries already for the next show.
Well, this is one that hardly anyone has seen. I was a film school student, so we saw it.
All right. Yeah.
And then I've been trying to find it ever since I saw it in film school, and they just recently released it so you can buy it from the filmmaker.
I can't wait.
All right, good. Send it in, please.
Okay, it's in the mail tomorrow.
All right, buddy. Maybe we'll do a screening of that.
That would be great.
Maybe we'll just find a place, and maybe we'll go to your house on the lake there. Yeah. We'll invite the listeners there, Justin, and we'll set up your outdoor movie screen.
I have an outdoor movie theater.
And we'll watch this thing.
That's fine. Go wrong.
That's fine, really?
What can go wrong?
You're too new. You haven't met these people yet.
They called me horrible names on the internet.
All right, let's talk about Senna. Now everyone's calling with documentary recommendations. We're going to do that at the end of the show, which is,
soon.
It's very soon. It's only a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
Senna. So, we had Asif Kapadia. I think that's how you say his name.
That's correct.
We had him on the main show to talk about the Amy Winehouse movie, which I freaking loved. But I still can't listen to Amy Winehouse music. But anyway, he was talking about the Amy Winehouse movie that he directed, and then he tried to turn us on to Senna. He goes, well, if you really like my Amy Winehouse movie, please go and check out Senna. I'm really proud of this documentary I did.
Well, it was because when he did the Amy Winehouse film, he didn't have to shoot anything new. He used all archival footage.
Thank you, Eric.
And that's what we were talking about on the show.
And Eric, Opie, and I were completely blown away by that. That it was like he created this entire film based on archival footage, and you were sucked in. You felt like you were just peeking into this person's life.
Right, because people tell their own stories.
Right.
And then he said, well, you got to see the first time I did it, which was this movie Senna, which you can find on iTunes. It was on Netflix, but I think they just took it off. And it follows a folk hero. I didn't know anything about this guy.
Right.
And it's a guy who just sort of came on the scene as a young Formula One driver, has incredible success. He
has like an arch nemesis.
He has a nemesis. It's like you couldn't script it any better.
No.
And they fucked with him.
Right.
Because he was such a rock star in the sport.
Yep.
And Formula One, is it even popular in America?
In Europe. It's Europe.
No, I know in Europe and in the rest of the world, but
I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer.
Because he knew that, because he's like, look, I know it's Formula One, but trust me, you got to check this thing out. And I'm glad I listened to him.
I remember I lived in Australia for a few years, and I remember on Sunday there was Formula One racing on all day, and that's what people watched.
Right.
Everybody watched it. It was huge.
Yeah.
So I think it's popular everywhere but here.
Right, and you've got these two main characters who are adversaries who are literally driving into each other on the track in their quest to win, and you have to get.
And they're working for the same team, right?
They were on the same team, but you have to get a certain number of points in order to win the championship.
Sure.
So they were doing the math, and in certain races, if one guy finished and the other guy didn't, then somebody would get the championship. And these guys, it was cutthroat, and the footage is great.
Right. And these teams would decide which guy's going to be their number one driver. So you kind of protect the number one driver, but then you got Senna, who it's turning out early on is better than the number one driver, but they're not really allowing him to succeed at first.
Right.
Which is so fucked up, I thought.
It is really fucked up.
What is the time period for, and how do you say his first name?
Ayrton.
Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, it started in 1985. The movie started in 85, and I believe it ends in 94?
94.
Okay. And for a while, for a few years, he was the best at his sport, period.
Yep.
Yeah, and...
But again, watching this, I had no knowledge, anything about Formula One. I was not interested. I was sort of watching it like, all right, I have to watch it for this show. And I got sucked in immediately. And you care about you're watching a drama. There's so much drama here following this character. You care about him. You care about you see the adversarial relationship he has with his arch nemesis. You see both battling to succeed. And you just see these crazy races where they're changing the rules and stuff is dangerous.
Right, and there seems to be corruption and favoritism and things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of politics in the sport.
A lot of politics.
And this guy, Senna, he had a lot of pressure because he was from Brazil.
Right.
Especially back then. Brazil was not in good shape, and a lot of people were really looking up to this guy to pretty much forget about their lives for a day or two, to make it a little better.
Yeah.
And he was definitely feeling that pressure that he had to perform for his entire country.
Right, and you would see there's footage of him in a meeting, a pre-race meeting with the other drivers where they're complaining about safety issues. And then, of course, in that race, the safety issue pops up. Mm-hmm. And that happened more than once in the movie, and it's kind of amazing. I mean, I'm not sure if we should even talk about the end of this movie.
Yeah, we'll leave it.
Yeah,
I think in this case we shouldn't. I didn't know the ending.
I had no idea, thank God.
I didn't either.
Yeah, and if you don't know, then you should watch it immediately before someone, fucks that up for you.
You should see it. Don't Google it, because obviously it's a real story. But when the ending, not knowing it actually is good, because you really care about all the characters and you care about the story, and it's I would say satisfying ending, without giving away anything. I mean, I don't want to give away any emotion, but you do feel like all right, there's a beginning, middle, and end to the story.
Right, and the in-car footage, just amazing. I don't know how they freaking do that.
Some of the crashes that those guys had were insane.
That they walked away
from. That they just got out and walked away.
Like it was nothing.
I couldn't believe it. It seemed like a fake movie. It absolutely seemed like a what was that Ron Howard racing film like a year ago? Drive, or I don't know what it was.
There are things in this movie that if you saw it in a drama, you would say that's ridiculous. Like there was some race where, I don't know if it was because he was dehydrated, but he won, and he couldn't raise his arm to raise the championship flag,
That's
and
right.
he forced himself to do it.
Yeah.
And you could just picture that in a really bad drama, but this actually happened.
Yes. It's a hell of a story. So check out Senna. I think that's about it on that one, right?
But again, the amazing thing about this documentary, the entire film was told using existing footage and existing interviews.
Right.
So they didn't really have to go to people and interview them. There was no, like a little, like if we get to it later, some of the soaked in bleach, they told the story using very different methods. They took all the footage that they could find and they built a story, and you got to know his life, and it was amazing. And when we
it seems like it's his way of doing it,
right? And when we
like
talked,
his technique,
this was the first time he did it,
right?
He said when he was on Your Morning Show, and he said going into the film he didn't know what it was going to be until he was done.
Yeah.
Paul reminds us that the Ron Howard movie was Rush.
Oh, Rush. Sorry, Rush. That's right.
But that's definitely his style, and he doesn't have to, waste a lot of money on a crew and cameras and all that. He just collects all the footage and then, makes a movie or a documentary out of it. And he did a great job. There's a guy on the phone from Texas. He really wants to talk about Senna. Tony in Texas, go ahead, buddy.
So I originally heard about Senna when Ron and Fez were watching it. So I went all in and I started looking for it. Well, the original one, I know they just talked about how they don't use interviews. The original one is like 4 hours long. And if you really want to go all in, you watch that one. But they have all these interviews, and they talk to all the race car drivers, and they talk to everyone. And to tell you the truth, he recut it. And what you guys saw now, which is the new Senna one, is just phenomenal because he takes out all the interviews from the race car drivers that knew him and all that. But it's just, you should be, if you get a chance, watch both. And you just see how phenomenal of a job he did. Because the story you watch, even if you don't know F1, you talked about it, it just captures you. And you're pulling for this guy the whole damn time. And then, it lifts you down. But if you get a shot, watch the original one, which is like 4 hours long.
Yeah, we definitely.
Wow, cool.
I didn't know anything about Formula One. I feel like I know a lot about the sport now. They really did a great job explaining the whole thing and the politics of it and all that. And then you also really feel the pressure that Senna was feeling. Like he felt like he always had to top himself.
That's right.
And take more and more chances. Yeah. And wow, it was.
If you think about it from a filmmaking point of view, it's so risky to make a film like this because what if there's a major plot point and you don't have the supporting footage?
Right.
Because you go in knowing the story, and then now you're looking for footage to tell that story. You're completely right. Mm-hmm. If they didn't have various things, but most of these races are televised, but still,
but it's about the meetings and the crew chief discussions and all that, the in-car camera.
Some of the, when they went into the pit, and you would see them with the equipment take like a front fender off and put a whole new one on in 30 seconds and then go back out. Oh, there was one scene where it was a controversial crash, or the guy shot off the road and then he went back on. Was that Senna or was it the other guy?
It was Senna.
It was Senna, and he went back on, but it turns out he went back on the wrong way.
Like he went around the cones or something the wrong way or whatever.
So it was considered illegal.
Yeah.
He won the race, and they took it away from him.
And he got suspended.
And it's so exciting. The whole thing is exciting. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know anything about racing. And I was like, oh, what? Yay. Yeah. What? They're taking it away?
Yeah.
And just to tell you a little bit more, I went to Puerto Rico on assignment, and I was out there with some girls from Brazil there, and I started talking about it, and I just said Senna, obviously it's Portuguese, but I said that, and she knew, and she was young, but she knew this guy's a hero. This guy is a country hero, and everyone loves him. Everyone pulls for him, and it was F1. It's the richest sport, one of the richest sport in the world, and you got these people from Brazil can't even, don't have money, and they're still pulling for the guy. So it's remarkable, and like I said, I showed the original film to my wife, and she fell asleep. She was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But then the recut, it's just phenomenal. It's really awesome. So, bunch of boys, I appreciate it.
We'll check it out. Thank you very much.
Great. All right, yeah, Tony in Texas. Thanks, buddy. All right,
pretty cool.
Lady Di's calling this show too. Oh my
I think
God,
she's still on hold. Me? She's still on hold.
We only have 45 more minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I think we could skip over Gregg Louganis back on board, but I mean, we could talk about it for a couple minutes. We could do it quickly, because then I know you want to talk about Call Me Lucky.
I want to talk,
which I was blown away by that documentary. And
Sure.
it was fantastic. But back on board, the Gregg Louganis documentary that's on HBO. I think it
debuted last night.
So you can see this thing. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember Gregg Louganis, but he was, I'm saying it a lot tonight, but he was a rock star in his sport, diving.
Yep.
Sport I wasn't really into when I would watch the Olympics, but he was by far the best. Everyone knew he was the best.
Yep.
And a couple things that I found incredibly fascinating. One, someone like Gregg Louganis, who I know was the best at his sport, won a bunch of gold medals, had some endorsements. You fast forward to the year 2015, and he has no money.
Yeah.
I found that incredibly fascinating.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yeah.
how does that happen? How does that happen that he, everything he did for the sport and Olympics in general didn't translate to him having a very, very good life?
Right.
The movie starts with him, and you're feeling the stress of it and the anxiety of it. You could hear, a bank leaving a message, basically saying, "Look, we gotta take you home, man. You gotta pay your bills." And then they show his dream house that he got right around the Olympics. That overlooks the Pacific Ocean in Malibu, I believe.
Malibu, yep.
Yeah.
And he's trying to hold on to his dream house. That's all he wanted in his life, is this dream house. He got it, and it opens up with him packing boxes. Like he's got to go.
He's selling all his shit.
He's selling everything, and he's trying to hold on to stuff that really matters to him, but he knows he's got to pay these bills, and he's doing everything he can to save the house. So he's making these decisions like, oh, man, I really want to keep this, but all right, I guess I got to sell it. That was the first thing I found fascinating about the movie.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I found incredible, I'll go with incredible, was this guy was and is gay.
Yes.
And everyone knew it as he was coming up in the Olympic world. He was a kid at 16. They already knew he was going to win gold medals, most likely. He was that damn good.
Right.
And then there was the 1980 boycott, so, that kind of messed up his career a little bit, as he had to wait out, 4 years until he could get back there. But everyone knew he was gay.
Yep.
No one said a fucking word. I found that amazing, considering where we are nowadays.
It would never happen now.
It would never happen. Like, they all had the story. This Gregg Louganis that everyone's talking about, and he would be on talk shows, and they were probably doing that old gag. So, have you found a young lady, Gregg, to settle down with?
Right.
But they all knew. But they were just going with the story.
And that's not that long ago.
No, it was
You're talking 1988.
1988. And then you fast forward, and now we're finding, personal recordings of people and fucking them over at every chance we get.
Right.
So that's what I found amazing about this movie, how the times have changed.
But we were
and
also...
everyone there was a weird understanding, like, okay, we all know it, but there's no reason to announce that to the public.
Right. But what's weird is that in Louganis' mind, and he mentions this in the movie, that's the reason why he didn't get the Wheaties box.
Right.
Mary Lou Retton got it. And that's the reason why USA Diving, for some reason, wanted nothing to do with him until the 2012 Olympics.
Yeah.
So while they're not outing him, at the same time, they're also not embracing him.
They're blackballing him.
They're blackballing him.
There's politics that's hurting.
It's like, look, we're not going to tell everyone, and that would be hell for him, because, like I said, we're talking 1988.
Right.
But we're also we're going to kind of blackball you, and you're not going to,
right. He
get the endorsements and whatnot from people that are deemed straight athletes.
And if events happened in a different order, if people knew that he was gay when he banged his head in the 1988 Olympics off the diving board and was bleeding in the pool, that would have been a whole other situation.
That would have and they even kept quiet after that.
Right. He knew he was HIV positive.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what to do. Once he's bleeding, he didn't want anybody to touch him, because, this is something that he didn't want to get out. And, that would have been a whole other situation.
Right. And there was something else about that movie. Oh, yeah, nowadays, if you announce you're gay or transgender, then they're going to throw you on the Wheaties box. They're going to splash you everywhere.
Right. It's so
now
bizarre.
Now it's like it's a fast track to endorsements and over the top exposure.
Yeah.
But back then it was completely opposite.
Right.
Completely opposite.
It does have an uplifting ending. He gets to sort of figure things out monetarily and with his life, and so it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. I think I know
they have real good footage of him, diving as a young kid and all that.
Yeah.
We were discussing, I think, during the break. Did you know he was gay?
That's right. That's
because we're old enough to remember him in the Olympics,
right?
And no, of course I didn't know he was gay.
We didn't know.
I said to you guys, unless you were like Liberace, I didn't know you were gay.
Right.
I mean,
no.
You'd have to be like Charles Nelson Riley, just that over the top, flamboyant. Then you're like, oh, that's gay.
Right.
But also,
that's the definition of gay because we just didn't know any better.
But also,
our age group
as
anyway.
Kids, we wouldn't have cared either way.
No.
You know what I mean? Like nobody would have cared, but. It is amazing.
People cared in '88,
but as a kid, you wouldn't.
You forget
have,
how far
adults,
we've come with that whole thing.
But kids didn't. Like adults sort of did, because based on religion or based on they were out of touch. But kids, if you were told so and so was gay or so and so was this or that, you just thought it was normal because you're a kid. You know what I mean? But like,
I don't know for our age group if that's right.
I don't know if I would have cared. But I mean, like we were just talking that Eric and I were saying when we were kids, we didn't know the Village People were gay.
Right.
We were really little. We bought it on record. And
no idea.
No idea. But then he was in here for the morning show, for the Opie and Jimmy show, and he gave an interview. He was interviewed, and he seems, and I don't mean to sound bad at all, but it's like, how could we not know he was gay when we were kids? And unless somehow he's changed his person, unless he was.
I think he was very guarded in the past.
Yeah,
I think okay, that because I asked during the break. I mean, do you just become gay as you get older?
I think it becomes more comfortable with who he is.
It's all out there.
You don't hold back at all.
No, there's no reason to.
He was cool though. I liked him.
He was really cool.
It was nice to meet him and stuff. Gregg Louganis back on board. It's on HBO,
and I'm predicting he gets on the Wheaties box.
Oh, you think?
Of course.
Yeah, they got to put him.
You think now they will?
Yeah,
that would be a very smart idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, on my YouTube channel, OpieRadio, we got a clip of Gregg Louganis talking about, I think, coming out to his mom, and also the whole Wheaties box controversy, because his coach at the time basically says in this documentary he was not on the Wheaties box because he was gay.
Yep.
And that's why they gave it to Mary Lou Retton, and she got way more money and way more endorsements than Gregg Louganis, and it all comes down to the fact that he was gay.
Yep.
And that wasn't as accepting as it is nowadays. Now, if you're gay, like I said, or transgender, oh my God, they'll give you everything. They'll give you the world. They'll give you a reality show, right?
When he was in here, he was the nicest man in the world. He's telling us all these horrible things that had happened to him. That various things he had to keep in the closet, basically, or keep secret, and all these things that he knew that he had to hide. You just feel bad for the guy.
I feel bad for him because he was gay. He was going to lose his house.
Right. And there's no reason for any of that. And he had to keep secrets that while he hurt himself, he was now in a situation where he could have been putting people at risk, but he had to keep it a secret. And people duped him out of his money. I just feel bad for him.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He was a really nice guy, but I wouldn't let him touch me.
Did he try to touch you? What is that? What happened?
Well, I don't know. Group shot, and all of a sudden I'm feeling an arm. I'm like, yo, hey.
I think it was Jimmy.
I don't go that way.
It's fine.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he touched
got a little
you.
uncomfortable for a second.
No, it's fine. I think it's fine.
Also, let's not forget he thought he would never make 30. Because he was diagnosed with HIV.
How sad is that? You don't think you're going to make 30.
What year was he diagnosed with HIV? I'm trying to remember. It doesn't really matter, I guess. He was still in his 20s, obviously.
It was before the '88 Olympics.
Before, oh, that's right, which was in Seoul, and he had to have his AZT snuck into the country because if they found out he had HIV, they would not have allowed him to perform. So his coach took that chance and got his medication into the country. So pretty good documentary. I like that one.
He's a nice guy. He deserves. You should watch this show. You should see his story. It's very good.
All right. I know Eric wants to talk about. We almost talked about everything tonight. We might not get to Soaked in Bleach, but we did a pretty detailed
Here's what you need to know about. Here's what you need to know about Soaked in Bleach.
Okay.
They got to reopen the case because there's too much evidence showing that somebody may have killed Kurt Cobain, and there's a strong suggestion in the film that Courtney Love might have had something to do with it. And if I'm Benjamin Statler, the director, maybe I'm looking over my shoulder.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, my 2 cents on this very quickly, because I really want to move on to Call Me Lucky and then open up the phones before we have to get out.
Yeah, because we want you guys to really, turn us on to some documentaries to check out for the next show.
So we talked about Senna and the style here. It's built on found footage. We talked about the wolf pack, and you're following these kids around while they're stuck in their house and everything. It's all about the presentation. Now here, this private investigator has these recordings of interviews with Courtney Love. Now that's gold. Everything about this documentary is based around those interviews. And there's some interviews with other people, and it's interesting. But then there are reenactments, and there's a reenactment of the private investigator, the main character, and that guy played Jay Leno in the Late Shift movie.
Right.
And then there's another guy who's playing another, like his sidekick, and then there's a woman playing Courtney Love. Now, you have audio of Courtney Love saying all these things. Now, if we are to base our opinion on what they're showing us, some of this, it's an actress's interpretation of what she should say. She could say, Kurt Cobain is suicidal. And depending on how this actress chose to say it, you might think it's a shock to her, or she's trying to push this agenda.
Right.
So all of the reenactments took me out of the film.
Yeah, it's barely a documentary.
It's not.
But it starts with actual audio of Courtney calling the private investigator. But this guy... he doesn't have all the tapes, I guess.
I guess not.
So it starts with the actual audio, and then the conversation continues. It goes to the actress.
Right.
Because they obviously don't have that part as audio from Courtney Love.
And she's sitting there.
It was reenactments were transcripts. The dialogue is transcripts.
Right, and that's fine. But I would have rather somebody read the
Was it transcripts of the audio?
Yes.
So why didn't he just use more of the audio?
I don't know.
If he has all that audio, why not just use audio?
I don't know.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. There's even one part where they're going from the tape and they kind of dissolve through to the scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely don't like the style he chose.
No.
Yeah.
I thought
they have the information there.
Right.
I thought he chose that style because they just didn't have those audio tapes.
If this actress decided to be dramatic and read the line a certain way,
right.
you are basing your opinion on that. But Courtney might have meant it in a different way. So,
but the medical examiner is believable. The
all of that
Seattle
is
police chief, who basically he's retired now, and he's like, yeah, man, things weren't done properly. And if I was still the guy, I would absolutely reopen the case.
All the stuff with the suicide note about
it not looking.
The handwriting's different, or whatever.
Near
it was.
the end of it,
right?
And
at the end, right?
They found almost like a practice sheet in
That's right.
in the backpack. Whose backpack? Courtney Love's backpack.
Courtney Love left her backpack in the office of the investigator, maybe.
And he got a sheet out of there, and it looks like it's a practice sheet of like practicing how other people, or obviously Kurt, would write certain letters.
All of that stuff was amazing. You don't need the reenactments. The reenactments.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't know that, Eric, until you just said it. That they had all the audio, and that was transcripts of the audio.
It made it seem fake to me.
But that said, I would see the movie. I would still recommend it.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot in there. I mean, the death grip on the shotgun, and with the shotgun shell going the wrong way if he's holding the gun this way.
That's all great.
Yeah, the shotgun shell should have went completely the other way, and so then they're thinking, well, all right, maybe it ricocheted to the position it finally laid to rest, and they're like, but there was nothing in the room that would be in the way to make it ricochet that way, and
all of that was fascinating. It was the other stuff ruined it for me.
Yeah.
Plus the guy played Jay Leno in Late Shift, and every time I saw him, I just thought about him hiding in the closet in the scene where he's like listening to if he's going to have his job or not. Yeah. Like he ruined it for me. That whole part of the documentary ruined it for me. And all these other documentaries that we liked are based on a camera following these people around or found footage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the PI, Tom Grant, who's been fighting this ever since, he was at his office on Easter Sunday.
Right.
And he assumed that Courtney Love, when Kurt was, quote, missing, because, maybe she knew the whole time what was going on, who knows, she was just in the phone book looking for a private investigator.
Right.
And obviously, there's a very good chance that she called a whole bunch of places, but they weren't at their office on Easter Sunday. Right. And this guy happened to be there. And that's, he lucked into this whole thing.
That guy sort of, like, I've seen that movie twice now. I saw it before they were on before I saw when we were talking about it on your morning show, and I saw it in preparation for this, and I started thinking that guy was sort of like I know he was a police officer, but I started doubting that guy a little bit, the PI, that he was like he wanted to be more of a hero than he was. Like I started to turn on him on my second viewing of the film.
It's his 15 minutes of fame too, so he's going to ride it right to the end.
It's what it seems like to me.
Yeah,
that's really what it seems like. And it's all from his point of view. So I on the second viewing, I had a lot of questions about this documentary.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to Call Me Lucky.
Yes.
I did not know about Barry Crimmins at all.
Now,
but since we talked to him on the show, Bob Kelly was in, and he's like, "Oh God, I love Barry Crimmins."
Yeah.
Great comic. I thought he was a Boston comic, but he came up in the Boston comedy
area,
scene.
Right.
But he's from upstate New York, and then moved to Boston because he knew there was a scene there.
Now
he came up with Bobcat and Stephen Wright and
Kevin Meaney, Tom Kenny,
Lenny Clark. He's from that era. And go ahead.
He was actually smart enough to kind of recognize the comedy scene in Boston, and he started an open mic night where he took all of the money that came in, as the Chinese restaurant called Ding Ho, and he gave all the money to all the comedians that would perform. So he would outbid the comedy clubs. So if they said, we'll pay you $50, he said, I'll give you 75.
Right. He always outbid all the other comedy clubs. Now, to set up your story, can I set you up?
Yeah,
Is
go
that
ahead.
right? So, it follows this comedian who is he's famous in the history of comedy, though you may or may not know him. If you saw him, you would recognize him.
I did not know him.
I
remembered the one joke that Jimmy pointed out on the show,
right?
Because he was on an HBO Young Comedian special,
right?
Which was that I got in trouble for smuggling books into Kentucky. They got a laugh, and he's like, "But I got off because they couldn't actually prove that they were books."
Right.
And I remember
what a great line.
Yeah, it's a great joke.
He had a little Bill Hicks to him.
He did.
He absolutely was into the talking about the system in general.
He fought. He was like a big political comic. He really fought the system. He really fought the government. He fought everything. Now, Bobcat Goldthwait is the director, and I got to say, this guy does an amazing job directing this film. And you follow Barry as he takes over this comedy club, and he makes a lot of his political jokes. And he has a real kind of anger behind him. He's really angry, and he's angry at the system, and he's lashing out.
And the Catholic Church.
And the Catholic Church, and the Pope. But he's also a really friendly guy, friendly to his friends and other comedians.
Loved by his fellow comics.
So the first half of the film really focuses on his role in the history of comedy.
Right, and discovering new talent that we all know. It's like there's kind of a comedy tree that you could trace from Barry.
Now
after I talked to Barry, by the way, on the main show, I was reminded on Twitter, and thank you for that. There is some good things about Twitter, by the way. There's a lot of cool people out there that turn me on to all sorts of shit and remind me about things. Patrice O'Neill performed at that Chinese restaurant that was turned into a comedy club. I wish I fucking asked him about Patrice.
Yeah.
But he'll come back. He'll come back on the main show.
Yeah.
So we knew we were going to have Bobcat on, and we knew we were going to have Barry on. And so the night before, I watched the first hour of the movie. The movie's like an hour and 40 minutes. I watched the first hour of the movie, and it's all about how he has changed the comedy scene in Boston and given all these people a chance. And I thought, okay, now I get the movie. I couldn't watch the whole thing.
Eric had to go to bed. It was late. We had to be up early.
So you're thinking to yourself, I got this?
Yeah. I came in, I even told you I saw it.
I don't need to watch any more of this.
Right. Eric saw the first hour. Eric's like, this is
the other part of the first hour, all of a sudden, he kind of disappeared from the comedy scene a little bit. Like he had some issues.
Well, he had some anger issues and had to take a break.
And it looked like, all right, he had to go to the woods and chop wood for a while.
Right, he was chopping wood.
Right.
So Eric and I have our position in the studio. Bobcat comes in, Barry comes in, Opie's talking to him, Jimmy, everyone's talking. Go on, Eric.
Yeah, so you guys start talking about going through this timeline of the story, and I'm thinking, okay, I understand this. And then it takes a turn to a part I didn't see, where Barry starts talking about how he was raped as a 4-year-old and how he discussed that on stage and how he went undercover in AOL chat rooms and tried to expose these people that were luring children. He posed as a child.
And he went down to Washington to try to get something done about this. He basically took on AOL. And remember when AOL, was huge.
Right.
And Barry was the guy like, fuck these guys. I'm taking them on because do they understand what's going on? There's chat rooms where men are getting together and trying to, molest little kids.
Right.
In plain sight, basically.
Right.
Yeah, so it turns out that I didn't know the movie at all.
So Eric was in shock. Eric's like, I'm ready. I got this covered. And then all of a sudden, it's about a 4-year-old rape and all this horrible stuff. And Eric's like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, so you really have
Child
to watch.
rape not funny, but what Eric is saying here, funny. Funny.
But it's like you realize that this horrible. When he was 4, he had a babysitter.
Babysitter was 12 or 13.
Right, and then there was a man associated with a babysitter. Was it
12 or 13?
The man?
Yeah.
I thought the man was older. Was the man 12
No,
or 13?
not according. I think no. I asked him, and he said 12 or 13.
So there was a man associated with a babysitter, and the man came over and raped Barry in his basement. And Barry's sister came in, saw the thing happening, ran to get help. The babysitter ran up, grabbed the sister. It was a horrific thing. And Barry, you get the sense this is what fuels his anger. This is what makes him kind of like lashing out at the world, lashing out at the Catholic Church. He goes on a one-man vendetta to stop child pornography on the early days of AOL, file swapping in chat rooms. He is an angry man, but he's also a very caring man. He goes back with Bobcat
to the house,
to the basement.
Yeah,
which was really fucked up.
And it was really funny on the main show because Bobcat goes. It was really tough to reenact. What went on or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Barry, quick as hell because he's a comic, goes, "It was tough for you."
Yeah, he
just
was
amazing how quick the guy was. He was really funny on the main show.
Amazing that he can talk about all this. He went through hell.
And he's obsessed with the Catholic Church and the Pope, and he tweets the Pope every single day. Do we have his Twitter account?
Yeah, it's Crimmins.
Oh, you got it. Good.
Crimmins on Twitter, and every day he asks the Pope to excommunicate him.
Right, and this movie is in theaters starting Friday or tomorrow.
August 7th.
When's that? Friday, right?
Friday.
Yeah, so you can see it in theaters starting Friday. It's called Call Me Lucky, another great film directed by Bobcat Goldthwait.
It's really I mean, it sounds really dark and disturbing, and it really is. But Bobcat handles it very well. He's a very good director. He's done some really bizarre films.
I like it because a lot of us have been through some shit in our lives.
Right.
And here's a guy. First of all, should we give away why? Yeah, we could say it, right?
We said he got raped. What else?
No, the title of the film is "Call Me Lucky" because he was convinced he was going to die.
Right.
Yeah.
From his abuser because his face was being shoved into a pillow and he was losing air.
Yeah. He smothered.
But what's kind of inspirational about this film is, a lot of us have gone through a lot of shit in our lives, and here's a guy that came out the other side more than okay.
Right.
More than okay. Obviously, he wished all this didn't go down, but he made the best of it, and he's quite a guy.
It's a horrible thing that happened to him, but as a result, we got a very strong comedian, someone who really took on the government, and he really tried to stop child pornography on America Online, and seemed and did make a difference. Laws were passed after that.
Right. And I got a clip on my YouTube channel when we interviewed Barry Crimmins about Call Me Lucky.
Actually, we'll put it on the
put on the Twitter page and the Facebook page.
OpieRadio Doc Series Twitter page.
Oh boy, that should get a lot of views.
OpieRadio Docs.
How many followers do we have on the new Twitter
302.
account? Whoa, we're rocking.
310. It just jumped up.
All right, we got Barry Crimmins and Bobcat. On my YouTube channel.
You see guys like Mark Maron, David Cross, and Patton Oswalt.
They all love this guy.
They love him. Love him.
Was Mark Maron in the movie he was, right?
Yeah.
Quickly?
Yeah,
okay.
he was in it a few times. Actually, Mark Maron, at one point, thought, who the hell is this guy? Why is he getting all this attention? Like, he was upset that this guy was getting all this attention, and then learned to appreciate him and understand his role in the world.
Right. So that is it as far as the documentaries we wanted to talk about today.
Yep.
The Facebook page is OpieRadio Doc Series. Please join the Facebook page. We really don't want any nonsense on there, for real. So, I mean, go there and talk about maybe the documentaries we talked about tonight, and also maybe some documentaries that you really were into, so you could turn other people onto it. And we started a new Twitter account. It's OpieRadio Doc. Docs. OpieRadio
Plural.
Docs. So join us there as well. And now every phone line is lit, which means, all right, this is working. So now we want to go to the phones and, have you guys kind of turn us and the listeners of this show. We have 10 minutes.
Yep.
And the listeners of this show onto some documentaries that maybe they never heard of before. Let's start with Paul in Queens. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, what's up, Opie? How's it going, guys? I got a couple for you. The first one is Murder Ball.
I loved Murder Ball.
Right.
Murder Ball is a fantastic documentary. It's great. It's about the guys who were in the Paralympic Games, and they play wheelchair rugby.
Right.
It shows, goes through like all the different guys, how they got paralyzed, how they have to overcome everything. There's like a coach who coached the U.S. team. He got fired, so then he went and he coached the Canada team. So it has a bad guy.
Right.
Really, really fun documentary. Really, really, interesting and a lot of good, interesting people to watch on it. That's a fantastic one.
And some of these guys were fucked up. What was interesting about Murder Ball, God, I mean, I saw this movie 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
But they would set up these teams depending on how paralyzed you were, too. I forgot their system, but there was a 1, a 2, and a 3, maybe. And the ones were like, you were paralyzed from the waist down, but then the 2s kind of couldn't use all their arms, and the 3s were really bad. And you had to kind of balance out the teams that way.
Yeah, they had like a certain number. They had to like add up to I think it was like 8 points.
Right.
Or something like that. They had to be under 8 points to field their team. So, yeah, it was really, really cool. A lot of good stuff on that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I loved, and it was, I loved knowing that these guys could still have sex. No, I'm not. I'm being completely serious.
I know.
Because I'm like, holy fuck. And in the movie, they kind of, they talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Where remember the one scene, now it's coming back to me, where the girl kind of shows you how they have sex, where she has to, hug him in a certain way and then lean back and fall onto the bed and then try to turn him over and then, and then she would mount him.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Real quick,
a little side thing about Murder Ball, because I know you want to move on to something else. I became really good friends with Eddie from Big Brother, who had one leg.
Oh, really?
And he was really good at wheelchair basketball, and he was on like a national team. And I went to some of his games, and wow. These guys, would wheel as the ball's going out of bounds, and then jump and try to keep the ball in bounds and just beat the shit out of their bodies. It was no joke.
Yeah, they're definitely athletes. There's no, they're not pussyfooting around. It was a serious sport. So.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah. The other one that I wanted to talk to you about was called Finding Vivian Maier. The guy Jeff Garland, the guy who plays Jeff on Curb Your Enthusiasm, produced it, and it's a really cool story. This guy was doing storage lockers. He was, auctioning, bidding on storage lockers that were expired.
Right.
And he buys this locker. He's going through it, and he finds tons of photographs and negatives from like the 30s, 40s, 50s, and basically he's curious because they're fantastic, and he kind of tracks down who the photographer was, and it was this lady who was like a nanny for these kids, and she went from like family to family to family and would like drag these kids all around and go different places, take pictures, and she's absolutely, the photos are absolutely fantastic, and he basically tracks down the kids that she used to watch to kind of get inside her head and get like what her deal was, and it's really interesting. It's really, really cool. There's a lot of really good
the photo, just to look at the photographs are amazing.
Right. Awesome.
Her name, you can find it.
Thank you, Paul. I want to give some other people a chance because every phone is lit.
Thank you. Love the show.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I'm kind of digging doing this. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Finding
And Eric, you'll keep track of these documentaries, throw it on the Facebook page?
Finding Vivian Mayer is on iTunes.
Okay, let's go right to Jed in Michigan. Go ahead, Jed. Speed round, so try to make it quick.
I want you guys to check out this movie called Tabloid by Errol Morris.
Tabloid.
It's really good. It's a crazy story about this woman who was married to this Mormon, and then the Mormon disappears to England, and she goes to England and captures him and rapes him in a home in the countryside of England.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a kind of a crazy story because she says she didn't rape him. She said she was rescuing him from the Mormon church, and he says that she raped him. So it's this kind of crazy story, and more stuff happens with her. I don't want to ruin it, but more stuff happens with her eventually, and she becomes more famous for any crazier reason. So.
All right.
All right, cool. We'll check
Tabloid.
it out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Check it out.
All right. Let me.
Tabloid, by the way, it looks like it's on Netflix.
Great. Let's go to Charlie in Tampa. Charlie.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good, Charlie.
Not bad. There's this documentary called Country Boys. It's done by David Sutherland. It was a PBS special, and it follows two teenagers as they're growing up in the Appalachian Mountains. One of the kids, dad shot his stepmom as she was stripping on stage.
Oof.
And then turned the shotgun on himself.
Oof.
And the other kid, he lives with his grandma. The other kid's just kind of regular. His parents live off FSI check. His dad's an alcoholic.
Right.
It's really good. It's long. It's 4 hours, but
wow,
it's definitely worth the watch.
Right on. It's called Country Boys.
How'd you find
Country
that movie?
Boys.
Okay.
It was a PBS. I know you can find the whole thing on PBS, but if you don't want to watch it that way, there's probably other ways to watch it. But you can definitely watch the whole thing on PBS.com online.
All right.
You can get it on Netflix also.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Thank you, Charlie.
It's on. Okay,
Thanks,
guys.
man.
All right, buddy. Let's go to Devin in Dallas. Devin.
Yo, Opie, what's happening?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, there's a really good documentary about Doc Ellis, the Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher, called No, a documentary.
I saw that.
What's it called?
No, a documentary, DOCK. I loved it.
Yeah.
The footage is great.
There's another one called Kevorkian that does a profile of Dr. Jack Kevorkian's life, and it's really fucking interesting.
I saw that one.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Opie.
All right. Unfortunately, we didn't leave enough time for phone calls, so I feel like we're just panicking through this. But let's go to Jeremiah in Delaware. Jeremiah.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, I wanted to see if you guys had heard of the documentary Winnebago Man.
Yes. Loved it.
Great movie.
Loved it. This guy who just made local commercials for a Winnebago, company, and was just absolutely miserable. And the documentary filmmaker, kind of just found this, these old commercials laying around, and then went searching for the guy to see whatever happened to him.
Oh, it was amazing. Just the barrage of curse words and yelling at the intern and swatting flies, and this guy was just it was great.
All the outtakes were hilarious. Winnebago Man is a great documentary.
That's a must see. That's a great documentary to watch.
That's on iTunes and Netflix.
Yes, we got that. Unfortunately, we only got 2 minutes left. But in a future,
but hey, love the series. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In a future documentary show, we'll dig deep with Winnebago Man.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Let me go one more. I think we have time for one more. Joe on Long Island. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, what's up, Bob? Good to hear your voice this time of night.
Oh, well, I'm a little punchy. But I'm enjoying it.
You got to watch the documentary. It's called The Death of Superman Lives.
Oh, I'm dying to see that.
Now, people are talking about this thing. It's a Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage was supposed to play Superman.
Right.
It was
Have you seen it?
Directed by Tim Burton. I have seen it.
Wow.
They have test footage of Nicolas Cage with his long, ridiculous hair in this horrible Superman suit that lights up. It was going to be some piece of work.
Now,
I gotta tell you.
I'm a huge Superman fan. I read the comics. I see the movies. I have a tattoo of Superman's S on my arm. I love Superman. I'm dying to see this documentary.
How did this guy see it?
I don't know.
It came out May 1st.
Oh, it did.
Oh, is it out? So it just seemed like this film was just a mistake from the beginning. Is that how it seemed when you saw this?
Oh my God! It was a train wreck from Jump Street. 50,000 people had their hands in it. All kinds of crazy stuff. And it completely was all like, if you like Superman, if this movie would have come out, it would have basically ruined Superman forever.
I'm dying to see this movie.
Very cool.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely a good watch.
Unfortunately, I think we got to stop there. We gotta leave more time for the phones next time.
Half an hour next time.
Yeah.
Last half an hour.
Maybe we just extend the show a little bit too.
Yeah, why not?
We'll see. I think that's it, guys. The second OpieRadio Doc Series show is in the books. We'll put this up on iTunes, right?
It will be on iTunes
Tomorrow.
Yep.
All right, great. So
we're hoping tomorrow it'll be on iTunes. It'll be on the on demand on Sirius.
I could guarantee next time we're going to talk about Toe Tag Parole.
Yep.
A documentary that's on HBO right now.
Yep.
I was literally turned on to it as I was coming over here today, or tonight, I should say. And then that one Dr. Steve sent me. What is it?
Titty Cut Follies.
Titty Cut Follies.
But most people are not going to be able to see that one, unfortunately.
But still, we can talk about it.
But we'll still talk about it.
Yeah, there are other. You should keep an eye on our Twitter and our Facebook page. We will update you. We'll tell you what we're going to be focusing on for the next show. Should be about 4 weeks from now.
Right.
We have Twitter, we have Facebook. Keep an eye on everything. We're just going to keep giving you all the information you need. Please keep giving us suggestions. We want to find films we'd never heard of.
I think this is going to lead to screening some movies.
That's our goal, guys.
We'll find a little theater with some weird fucking documentary, and then we'll do a Q&A. I see that's where this is going to head.
That's our goal
eventually. But we got to build a little following for this damn thing.
And if it gets big enough, we can travel around.
All right, relax. All right, I got a family.
Then we'll go on a cruise, maybe. All
right, let's calm down a little bit. We'll go to your lake house and we'll watch the movies outside.
Yeah, I have an outdoor movie.
All right, guys, I really appreciate you checking it out. The Facebook page is OpieRadio Doc Series. Please like that page and join us on Twitter. It's OpieRadio Docs, I believe, on Twitter. And keep the nonsense off it. Just,
no nonsense.
You could continue with the nonsense everywhere else, but just leave us alone. Leave us the fuck alone.
Documentaries, it's a high-class thing.
Exactly. We're drinking beers and talking fucking documentaries. Yeah. Please stay tuned to this channel because the live programming continues. My good friend Sherrod Small, who actually will be doing the show tomorrow morning with me on the main show, is coming in a few minutes with his pal, Kurt Metzger, who's definitely a friend of mine as well. And it's Race Wars, and we officially picked up that show. It's going to be a regular thing on Wednesday nights. So stick around if you've never heard, if you've never heard Race Wars, stick around and check it out for yourself. But I think most of you have. You're standing by to listen to it. So Race Wars live next. Thank you to Justin Stangel and Eric Stangel.
Thank you. Thank you, Opie. Thank you for everything.
This is the OpieRadio Doc Series. We'll see you next time.